Part of this episode was sponsored by Dashlane. Hey guys, what's up? It's Karl here, and it's crazy to think that I've had my new MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, for almost the past month, and this is by far the most expensive laptop that I've ever had the chance to buy. This thing fully spec'd out, Canadian dollars, has cost me $8,000+. That's nuts. The ultra crappy Canadian dollar has something to do with this, but if you do live in the US, this thing will cost you around $6,000, $6,500, and other parts of the world you guys just get kind of pooped on by Apple tax. It's a very expensive device, but actually when you compare it to, say, my last year's 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro, and if you're like me, the sucker that bought this guy, I am truly sorry, you got shafted. And before we get into my full review, of course, my sponsor for today's episode, I need it because I needed to afford this laptop, thanks to Dashlane. And when you think about how many accounts you have online, whether that's social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, banking accounts, every single one of those requires a password. That's where Dashlane comes in. It's a simple way to store, fill passwords, and your own personal info. There's no more need to write them down, leave them lying around on little bits of paper. Ultimately, Dashlane is the only tool you need for your online security that will actively keep you safe with all of those passwords that you're trying to remember. And on top of that, Dashlane does come with a VPN for all your devices. Honestly, wish I had that when I was out in China. If you check out dashlane.com/Conrad, that'll get you 30 days of premium for free. And also my code Conrad will snag you 10% off. Plug duties achieved, part of the laptop paid off. Let's get back to this comparison. Like I was saying, the very last model of the 15-inch, when I spec'd this guy, yeah, it was the first machine with 32 gigs of RAM. It had an i9, 8 cores. It was an absolute beast. I know some of the throttling issues that we had initially were fixed. This guy still to this date doesn't have any issues. The problem is just technology gets better. We have the 16-inch. This guy is now discontinued. This guy is almost doubling the specs that this guy has inside, but it isn't doubling the price. And obviously you gotta give huge shout outs to Apple. They could have charged way more money, but when you fully spec this guy, it isn't too bad, especially when you compare that to what you would have got a couple months ago. If you did buy this guy, I am so sorry. Physically, there is a hair of a difference. You won't be able to tell them. You can see maybe a millimeter larger. But honestly, in the month that I've used this guy, I haven't been able to really tell the difference in screen real estate size, unless you've got them both side by side here. Yeah, you can see that the bezels are way thinner on the 16-inch. Maybe that's just a bit of self-justification. You could perhaps grab this guy, say, in the Apple refurbished store, but if you are brand new to the market, if you're looking for a device right now and don't own one yet, the 16-inch should be the way to go. Honestly, the performance has been spectacular, as a device really should if you're spending that kind of money, but it's been so good that I've actually considered selling my iMac Pro. This is truly a device that is a portable beast of a workstation. Maybe I'm a bit biased though. I don't even scratch the surface of what this guy can handle. I don't shoot RED, I don't shoot in 8K, I don't even shoot in ProRes. I'm just recording off of a Sony in 4K in its native format, and this guy crunches that. Obviously it does totally fine, even my 15-inch did. This guy has really future-proofed itself, and if I were to recommend a spec to most of you guys, I wouldn't get the 2.4 gigahertz. I wouldn't spend the extra $100 for that upgrade. 32 gigs of RAM, absolutely. If you can squeeze by to get the 64 gigs, you'll have this device for 5 years, sure. Don't get 8 terabytes of space. You can still work off of an external hard drive. If you've got stuff on the cloud, that's totally fine too. It's obviously tempting to get that max spec, but don't do it unless you've got oodles of money. But heck, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. You probably already have it. To the keyboard, which was always my #1 complaint of my 15-inch models. I couldn't kind of fathom that a $4,000 or $5,000 device had a defective keyboard, but I've had to repair them at least 3 to 4 times. Icky gunk. would always seem to get stuck in them, and they just would kind of fail or get stuck on a certain key. These scissor switches have a lot more throw, they're more durable. If you've ever had an iMac keyboard, I've got mine for my iMac Pro, it's identical. The real big upgrade for me is actually being the audio experience, and the speakers have just been redesigned and they're so much better. The sound is fuller, even compared to say my 2018 model, there is a big difference. This is by far the best sounding laptop and can even give most desktops a run for its money unless they've got standalone speakers. I'll try to play a quick sample here. Hopefully this doesn't get dinged for copyright. Very impressive sounding speakers. But anyways, that has been my review of the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. Obviously, if you grab this guy, you won't get disappointed. It is the best laptop that Apple has made. I know that's a saying that they say every time. Really praying you haven't upgraded in the last 6 months, but I think if you can hold out a bit longer, if you like a smaller form factor, I would not be surprised if we saw a 14-inch MacBook Pro drop sometime early next year. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna keep on working because I gotta pay off the rest of this guy and hopefully catch you in one of my next episodes or vlogs. Peace.